Hey guys, and welcome back to another one, and I hope you are all okay on that side of the screen. Now I've got here with me the Bluetimes Android TV box, and as always we are going to check how it works. So that being said, I'll see you in a few minutes for the conclusion. So here we are with the Bluetimes Android TV box, and this particular model features the Rockchip 3288, the GPU Mali T764, 2GB of DDR3 and 8GB of NAND flash storage. And now, as usual, let's go for our very quick unboxing experience, and as you can see on screen, there we go, unboxing done. And the first thing that we will find is the device itself, which we will take a closer look in just a few moments. Also included, there's an HDMI cable, a power adapter, which in this case is for European units, so if you live somewhere else in the world, you know the drill, just get the right version. There's also included a infrared remote control, as you can see on screen, which feels nice regarding the size. Too many buttons for my taste, but that's a personal taste, and we will take a closer look how it works in a few minutes. And as always, no batteries included. And finally, we will find that OTG cable and a quick user guide, but regarding this guide, these devices are very easy to set up, so just read it if you have nothing else to do. And now let's take a closer look at the device itself, and at the front, as you can see, we will find a built-in microphone input and also that power button, which I love to see on these devices. Regarding the front lights, while the device is on standby mode, which is the red light, it's very dim, it will not bother your eyes if you place this device on a bedroom, but on the other hand, as you can see on screen, the blue light is very strong. So my suggestion is that this device is great for a living room or a bedroom where the device is not at the same level of your eyes, but if you insist to put it on a bedroom, I would suggest to grab a piece of tape and just cover that light. On the right hand side, we will find no ports at all, while on the left side we will find that micro SD card slot and a reset button. And at the back we will find the rest of the necessary ports to connect this device to our TV, starting with 3 USB 2.0 ports, one of them being OTG connection, one optical out, AV output, HDMI, Ethernet connection and that DC in. And just a note regarding the antenna, which is, as you can see, a non-detachable antenna that can be rotated 180 degrees in any direction except the direction of the device itself. And to wrap up this part of the overview, just to give you a closer look at the top of the device, and as you can see, there's the Bluetimes logo, and just to mention that this device is all made of aluminum. Yep, that's right, this black aluminum that actually looks really nice. And finally, at the bottom, as you can see, we will find those vents that will improve to cool down this device. And now let's turn the device on, because there's not much fun just talking about it. And what we are seeing on the screen right now is the default launcher, which actually is pretty much how I use all my devices. Now, to give you a better recording experience, I did change the background to a darker background so that the camera could get a better image. That being said, let's start testing the remote control included, which is an infrared remote. And regarding infrared remotes, we can expect the same as many other infrared remotes, which is once you point it out to the device, it will grab the signal all right, but once you get off that angle, it will not capture the signal. Now, on my opinion, this is not a major problem. I always advise everyone, and those that follow the channel know that I do, just use a wireless remote control and you will get a much better experience. The one that we are seeing on screen, it's an unbranded wireless remote control, which will give you a much better experience, as I said. And besides having that capability of pointing at any direction, you will also have that air mouse capability. I would also like to point out that this device comes with a media center app, which although I don't use, I would like to focus here for those that might be interested. So you can configure it as a media player or as a media server so that you can stream files to other devices on your home. And now let's move on to the benchmarks, and as you can see on screen, the first test, Wi-Fi connection, about 10 meters away from the office, we are getting about 13-14 megabits of download and 20 megabits of upload. 20 megabits of upload, by the way, it's the maximum speed that I've got on my ESP. Moving to the Ethernet connection through a power line adapter, as I always mention, we are getting roughly 39-40 megabits of download and 20 megabits of upload. On Geekbench 3 we got a single core score of 764 and a multi-core score of 2237. On Antuntu we got a score of 34,600. Now testing the Ice Storm Extreme benchmark of 3D Mark II, we saw a overall score of 6,322. And finally, in Epic Citadel benchmark, we got an average score of 29.9 frames per second at maximum resolution with ultra high quality. Now, after watching these benchmark results, my expectations towards this device is just one, that it performs great in comparison to other devices with similar results. And as you can see on screen, we started with Despicable Me as always, and the device just performs incredibly well. No problems whatsoever, so we can play these type of games with no lags, no freezes whatsoever. Just a great experience. And next, as always, is the Cars game, which I always like to remember that on the past, although this game is pretty simple, on the past it has led some devices on their knees. And for that, just check the channel and you will find at least one or two that did not perform very well here. So if you ask me, hey Robert, why this simple game? There's your question. And regarding this device, as you could see while I was talking, everything runs smoothly. And now moving to Beach Buggy, as we can see on screen, the experience was great as well, so no problems whatsoever. This game being a little bit more GPU intensive, it performed very well. And talking about GPU intensive, here we are with GT Racing 2, which is a totally different game of the ones that we saw on the past. And while I'm talking, you are seeing that there is no frame dropping whatsoever, no freezes. The game just responds exactly how we want to play. So at this point, I was sure that this device could play any game. And although I was sure, that did not prevent me from trying Asphalt 8 Airborne, which we are seeing on screen right now. And once again, this is the type of games that I cannot show you on the camera, especially the effects that the game has. Nonetheless, I did try two maps, one during the day and one during the night as usual, and the device just performed really well playing this game. So no problems whatsoever here, and I'm really glad to see the Rockchip 3288 on this particular device delivering this kind of experience, because the last experience, if you remember, that we had with this chipset was not great. But fortunately, here we can do everything. And now let's move on to the streaming capabilities of this device, and what we are seeing on screen right now is the Kodi version pre-installed. And as you can see, if you are add-on lover, you will have plenty to choose from, because this device comes preloaded with a lot of add-ons. Although I don't use, I would like to focus that here. And now let's move for the first test, which is a 1080p movie file that I have. And as you can see on screen, everything works great with the exception of one minor thing or one minor detail, which hopefully you will see on screen, which is when we fast forward, we will get some artifacts. Although they are temporarily, it is a bit annoying, at least on my opinion. But that was it. Regarding the playback itself, everything runs smoothly. And now to test out the 4K capability, as always, we are using the sample from the Lumix GH4, and the experience was not that great. As you can see on screen, the device or the software, but I will cover that in just a little bit, it's not very fine-tuned, so we will get that jittering on the screen. The audio was perfect, but the image, as you can see, has that jitter or that chatter, as you want to call it, that it's not pleasant to watch. So what I did next is what I do every time, and in here would like to mention, did you saw how the app loaded really fast? This is a great thing. This device loads the app really fast, not just Kodi, but all the apps. So installing the newest version or the latest version of Kodi available on the website, as you saw, everything that we had on the previous installation just passed through this new installation. So we had no problems installing any add-ons or telling the Kodi where my video files are. And that being said, with this version of Kodi, we run everything at 1080p perfectly. You remember those artifacts that we just mentioned before, they totally disappeared. So we are getting a really great experience here. As you can see on screen, even when we fast forward or when we rewind, there is no artifacts at all. So everything runs very smooth. And on the 4K, fortunately, we also got a big improvement, but as you can see, hopefully on screen, there's still a little bit of jittering. Once again, the audio was just perfect, the image not so much. So we could still see those frames dropping, which is not the perfect. So this led me to another test, which is to run this same sample, the Panasonic Lumix GH4, but instead of using Kodi, using the default player. And as you can see now, the test was the same, using the same file on my NAS, and everything now runs perfectly. So the problem is not with hardware, it's on the software side, which hopefully it will be fixed very soon. And just to mention also that here I could actually test the file. So rewinding or fast forwarding the file, no problems whatsoever. As you can see on the screen, we can enjoy the movie. Although I do prefer to use Kodi for 4K capability, we will have to use, at least temporarily, the default video player. And now we are moving towards the end of this review, but before we do, let's just test the mirroring capabilities of this device as always. And for that, I do use the AirPin Pro, which is a paid premium app, roughly €3 and something, which is totally worth it. You can use it across all your devices. Now in here, I'm testing the iPhone 4S, as you can see, and everything runs great. So the capability of making anything playable on the screen while you're still working on a phone is just great. Although I don't use it, it is just great. Regarding the iPad with Retina display, the same experience happened as we had with the iPhone. I would like to mention here that there is always a bit of delay when we browse around, but that's normal with any setup that you have regarding the tablets and regarding the device itself, the Android TV box. Now, what it concerns to streaming, once again, everything plays just great, so you can play something on the TV while you keep on working on your tablet. And as a last test, we are mirroring my wife's Imac to the living room TV, which is something that we use here at home. And if you follow the channel for a while, you know that we use iPhoto app most exclusively to enjoy our photos on a living room when we have friends or family here. And what I can say is that the experience was great. I did test out 2 different slideshows, as I will show on screen, and the experience was just great. So no problems whatsoever on this device to be able to mirror the iPhone, the iPads, or the iMac. And when I mean these devices, you can also play around with Windows machines and Android tablets, which I guess that the result will be the same or very similar. And that is it, guys. So we have reached the end of another review. Hope that you enjoyed the video as always. And if you did, don't forget that thumbs up and write your comments, whatever you want to or whatever you feel to write. Now, before I share with you the things that I did like the most and the things that I did like the less, let me tell you that I was really happy to see the Rockchip 3288 performing really well on this device. Now, if you recall, the last experience that I had with this Rockchip 3288 was really horrible on a machine that I will not mention here, but if you don't remember, just browse the channel. You will find another machine with the same socket or with the same chipset, and you will see that the experience was really bad. So this gives me more certain that the firmware integration is really important on these devices, and Bluetimes here did a very good job integrating the firmware with this Rockchip 3288. So really happy here. Now let's go for the things that I did like the most and the things that I did like the less, as always. And starting with the things that I did like the most, the enclosure itself, which is a black aluminum, solid black aluminum all over the device, which beside looking solid, it also acts as a cooler to help the system cool down. Besides having the vents on the bottom, this will help to dissipate the heat generated by the device. The only thing that I would like to see here that it doesn't have is some rubber feet but this is something that we can easily fix. Just go to a local shop and get some small rubber feet and place it here. Not that this will make a huge difference, because once you place the device it will stay there, but I really like to see some rubber feet on these devices. But this is just a personal opinion, of course, so you will do whatever you want with the device that you get. Now, also, one of the things that I like the most, it comes pre-routed from factory. So you will have access to everything, and you will be able to install apps that otherwise you couldn't. Or you would have to root the device yourself, which is always risky, and you know me, I don't do that. So this one comes rooted. Everything that you want to put there, you can. Everything that you want to do with the device that you couldn't with an unrooted device, it is here. So a thumbs up, especially for those that want to use rooted devices. Also, the XBMC comes with preloaded add-ons, and a lot of add-ons, as you saw. So for those that love using add-ons, this device here is ready. And you saw, once we install a new version of Kodi, the device will get, well, this works across all devices, but the Kodi will get everything that was on the previous installation for the new installation, so you will not have to mess around with any settings, anything that you configure in the past. Also, the gaming performance was great. We could play all the games with a great experience on this device here, and that was a great experience. So a great plus here for this device, being capable of delivering this kind of performance on games, especially for those that want to play some games on this device. And lastly, the 1080p playback was great. Now, the first time that we tested, as you saw on Kodi, the pre-installed version, we had some artifacts that showed on the screen when we fast forward or rewind it, but once we installed the latest version available, those artifacts were gone, and the playback at 1080p was just perfect. So 1080p is what I use on my day-to-day, so a great device here. Now let's go for the things that I did like the less, and starting, I only have two, but starting with the front light, which you will have to take care. If you are going to place this on the living room, you will be alright. And check an example of my setup. When I test these boxes, I always place it on the top of my table on the living room, but when I'm using them regularly, I just put them on the under shelf, so I will see no lights at all. And if that's your case, then there will be no problem. But if you want to put this device on a living room, or sorry, on a bedroom where the environment is dark, then this light, if it's at the same level of your eyes, then it will bother your eyes, especially if you fall asleep and then wake up in the middle of the night and you see that bright blue light, there will be a problem. Now, if you don't forget to put it on standby mode, which I always do, the device, if you don't forget, if you put it on standby, the red light is very dim, so it will not bother. But I would strongly advise to put, if you want to put this on the bedroom, just put it at a lower direction of your eyes, so you don't get bothered with the light. So this was one thing that I did like less, but as a last resort, you can also use a black tape and just glue it there, and the light is gone. So that being said, let's go for the last point, which is 4K on this device. And as we saw, the device, the hardware, is totally capable of playing 4K without any problems with the default player, but the integration with Kodi is just not there. It needs some work, and the work is not on the firmware itself, it's on the app. So Bluetimes will have to make some changes on their Kodi XBMC app so that we can get the most out of this device regarding 4K. Everything else was great, but 4K on Kodi, even with the latest version, we still get that small shattering on the image. The audio was perfect once again. So just a workaround here, and the device will be as perfect as any of you want. And that being said, guys, this is it. So hope that you enjoyed the video. My name is Roberto George, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.